What's up? What's up? What's up? How about that move from Spy today? Pretty ugly. Doing well, doing well. How about you? I'm just gonna go through and clean up my watch lists. Maybe we'll get into Zenbot and see if there's some cool stuff in here. Yeah. Let's see. We'll come into this later. Bed speak tomorrow. Pal speaking. 8:30 Central Time. So at open. That'll be interesting. Thursday, you got jobless claims, PMI, new home sales, Friday, durable goods, a couple other things. Pretty news light this week. If you guys didn't watch it, Pete's video from yesterday, very good, pretty solid. Couple rehashes of past picks, Ava being one of them. Ava got nuked today, so kind of interesting there. Keep your eyes on some of that stuff. But yeah, his market read though, as always, is pretty much spot on, right? Earnings this week as well, so we can jump in and take a look at some of these. We're still in finance earnings. Some materials one, steel. Cleveland Cliffs is another one, I think. Finance. Then get to some bigger ones later this week. Coke, Tesla, Google, IBM, CMG, QS. So a lot of interesting ones. GD's in here, FI, TMO. Yeah, a lot of big names in here. TXN, RTX, THR is a pretty big company. Northrop Grumman. So yeah, you got definitely some defensive stocks in terms of RTX and Northrop Grumman. That'll be interesting. A couple airlines in here. And yeah, semiconductors, Intel, TXN. Yeah, so we'll see. A lot going on. So make sure you're not getting caught by some of these that could be sympathy. You know that that's always a possibility. So keep that in mind. Cool. Next week, we know as well that there's going to be more news, especially around ADP employment, GDP, and then obviously the Fed decision. Then you got jobless claims. Yeah, it's just a lot going on next week. And coming off the back of some big earnings from the mags, I think that'll probably be pretty important. What do you guys think? Cool. Let's look at the market. So yeah, definitely a little bit messy over here. Hard to read. Kind of apologies for that. But what did we have here today? A nice, ugly bear hammer, right? New all-time high. Gap up on the intraday, not on the D1 technically, not a gap up, but intraday gap up this morning. You had a little bit of pullback right before open, and then it immediately started reclaiming. Big move up. Guess what? Hardly anywhere to get into this move here, right? Non-stop here. If you were looking to trade the wiki, if you were looking to trade, the strategy that we do in RDT, then there's no pullback here really, right? And whenever we see a gap up like this, especially the new all-time highs, just like Pete was saying, we don't rush into trades. Yeah, and if you go back a couple weeks back, Pete had another really good video about talking about trading at all-time highs, how you can do that when you're expecting some level of a pullback. Well, at the end of the day, the same strategy that I'm talking about here in terms of we don't buy breakouts, we wait for a pullback. We buy pullbacks. Well, you didn't get it here. Guess what? If you use that same methodology in the D1 for SPY, then you would be saying, even Friday, you started to get a little bit of a pullback, maybe some strength coming in later in the day, not much, kind of just whimper into the end of the day, still below VWAP though, you could probably say, hey, I'm still waiting for a pullback on the D1, right? So if you start talking about key levels on SPY, we can get into that. But today we got a fairly significant pullback. Do I think it's finished? No, I definitely don't. And we'll jump into why I think that as well. And then we'll start flipping through charts. So, pretty much a big like M here, right? Almost. Dump out towards the end of the day. Some support coming in around the open here. But either way, it's a bear hammer, right? A little bit of a doji, but to me, this is a bear hammer. You found a new all-time high and you pulled back. So I was looking at SPY D1 charts. And when was the last time we saw something like this? It's been a long time. Nothing here. Going back into May. Nothing really here. A little bit. Nothing here, but we weren't at all-time highs. This was previous all-time highs, so we'll come back here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Maybe. A little bit of a bear hammer here. What's the volume look like? Nothing to write home about. What was the volume today comparatively? Nothing to write home about. Maybe. Well, what happened the next day? Pullback to the 8. Break down through the 8. Right? And this was just before all the tariff news came in. I don't know. Kind of interesting. What do we also know that's happening coming up here soon? End of July, August 1, we know that, tariff numbers, apparently these tariff deals are going to be settling in and will go into effect. Do we think we'll see something similar? I don't know. Hard to say. But this move has been pretty nice considering all the, the tariff sell-off. I'm sorry, this wasn't. What was this here? Can't remember. Early January. It wasn't. I don't know. I have to look back at it. Just a little bit of a pullback. But either way, all-time high. A little bit of a bear hammer there on December 24. 06 December 24. And you had a nice, follow through the following day. Am I saying to get short? No. I'm saying that we need to be evaluating, the market on said pullback. And I would think that Pete would agree with that because that's kind of like in line with, his D1 analysis of the market. But either way, a little bit of a bear hammer. Finished maybe a little bit better than we did today. And look at the pullback that resulted. 2 full days of said pullback through the 8, to the 8, and then through the 8. Let's go back further. Doji here, not really comparable. Hard to say after big gap up. So maybe not a good example either. Let's keep going. Not a ton. Nothing here. Maybe here. A little bit of a bear hammer. This move was a little bit more aggressive. Are we that extended from the 8 EMA on the D1? I'm not sure that we are. But either way, you got a bull hammer the following day, which then resulted in consolidation and a slight move up. I don't know. That would be maybe more indicative of a stronger market than we have here today. Or, I don't know. We'll see. I don't actually agree with what I just said because we are in a very strong market right now. But let's keep going. Definitely maybe one here. This was barely a new all-time high, but you had a little bit of follow through the following day and then more follow through the day after. Big gap down. If we keep going back further here in 2024, you had one in March here, Tuesday the 4th rather, bear hammer, new all-time high, pullback through the 8, gap down, tested the 15 EMA and bounced. Go back a little bit further. February 12th, bear hammer, new all-time high, pullback, gap down, through the 8 and the 15, doji through the 8 and the 15 retest. I don't know. I have yet to see an example of a bear hammer finding new all-time highs that has resulted in anything relatively good for the market. Here's one maybe. Bad follow through as well. Right? So anyways, that's some of the DD that I was looking at. Just looking at SPY D1, going back. We could, get fancy, look at some HA candles if we really want to, and see what that looks like as well. Let's pull it up. Still bullish in HA. which I would have to agree with. This market has been incredibly bullish. Um, Ever since we had this breakout on the 24th of June from this consolidation, and I'm sorry if this is hard to read, all these orange lines are significant levels of horizontal that I think are relevant. Um, you have, let's get rid of some of this. I can clean some of this up. But you have new consolidation here, right? We had a huge hammer on Wednesday last week. This day I was, after the fact, I was saying, hey guys, like, if you didn't get long after that hammer, I don't know what to tell you, but look at the follow through that you had, right? And you even had another day of a little bit of follow through that could have been, decent profit taking on Friday. Well, today was another example of a great opportunity for you to be exiting longs in the morning. This was like a nice gift to me. Um, to me, that said, wow, like anything that I'm swinging, I can look to be exiting here because in my mind, I was thinking we're at new all-time highs. There's not a lot of room up here to continue up higher. You had a little bit of a pullback. Maybe this would have been your first opportunity for an entry on a day trade. Candidly, I did day trade a little bit more today. I day traded ALAB a lot today because it was so strong. It was a little bit dirty in terms of the entries and the exits, but it still worked out. And this market even gave you multiple chances to continue to stay in your positions. And then finally, when you touched view up here, give you one more chance, and then it finally broke down to closer to the end of the day and said, okay, it's this move has been over for you basically. And look what happened, dump out. So, anyways, all that to be said, I'm not bearish by any means. I'm still bullish on this market. Was there some news in here potentially that impacted this? Maybe. We know that this was news on Wednesday that they said they weren't going to fire Powell. Today, Harry and the like said that they think that what's going on with Open and with RKT Rocket could potentially be indicative of canning Powell because they think that they are on the hook for better rates potentially. I don't know. Let's see. Either way, whether this was news or not, this was a little bit of a warning sign, right? You got some volume coming in, and you got the market saying, "Hey, we're pulling back." Couldn't even break through the open there, so still definitely strong. So what are we looking for? I threw it in the Discord earlier today, but what I'm looking for is, let me pull it up here since I had it all. I said this is actually a pretty nice technical pullback. Still surprised it took so long today to do so. I still like the strength of a couple picks, and we'll jump into those. But on SPY, I'd like to retest the hammer. So this hammer here. So somewhere in here, 624, 623.75, somewhere in here. Based on some consolidation, I have this level here at about 624, probably about right. That could be some key horizontal. So maybe test down there. And the AVO op from that and the previous day, 626 about, which is also kind of coincides with the 8 EMA here. So if we could get a test into those levels, you have AVO op here from the hammer that comes in right in here. You have AVO op coming in from July 25th. July 15th, because this to me seems like pretty significant. It's a fairly big red candle, big volume that came in here. Both of those AVO ops kind of coincide right around here. 626.28, 626-ish, and you have the 8 EMA below that at 625.50. So to me, I think those are some pretty key levels that I think we're going to be looking to see if there's going to be some sort of retest. If you came in here and we broke down through that, and we tested the 15, so be it. Fine, you're still in this consolidation. In this area, you're still in, if this is, sort of a wedge forming in here, you're still in this area. What would I be looking for? I'd be looking for buyers to come in and show me that they're still interested in this market. And I would be looking for something with a nice big tail. And if we could see a big tail coming off of a candle here tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, maybe later this week, after tomorrow's day of rest or selling or whatever you want to call it, a little bit more of a pullback, and we saw a little bit of a hammer come in or a longer tail, I don't know, similar to something like this or like this, that held some of these levels in here, I'd be pretty interested in continuing to look long. Even as these things are happening, I'm going to be looking for RS tomorrow because I'm going to be looking for things that are going to be persistently strong to the market despite what's happening. Because if that happens, then they'll potentially take another leg higher when the market does decide to bounce and test these levels. If it does decide to bounce and test those levels. So that's my read on SPY. That's where we're at. So you have the 8, which is this orange line, 8 EMA. You have the yellow line, which is the 15 EMA. The blue line down here is the 21 EMA. You have the 20 SMA here, the purple thicker line. You have 620, which for whatever reason, round square number seems important. You have a H plus here as well, this white line that could be relevant as well. All of these are key levels in here that we're going to be looking to see get tested as support. I guess we'll see. What's going on, Prophet? How we doing, man? Just flipping charts. I'm fasting today, so I'm trying to keep my mind off of food. But yeah, so trying to keep my mind off food, and in doing so, see if we can be a little productive here. Dreetoven, what's going on, dude? The Discord. First of all, welcome. Let me see if I can find a link. How do I invite someone to this? I don't think I ever have like that. Invite people. Here we go. Is there a link? Perfect. This is the RDT Discord. Let's see what happens when I pop that open. Is that the right one? Yeah, it looks like it. That's Real Day Trading Discord. If you don't know what Real Day Trading is, you should check it out. It's a subreddit on Reddit, and I'll link that as well. But yeah, it's a great place to learn. A lot of full-time traders and some good stuff in here. Cool, dude. Yeah, welcome. Cool. So in terms of trades, I'm actually pretty flat right now. I had a couple open positions today, and actually had a really good day. Mainly day trading A-Lab, and I'll just share my results so you guys can get a feel for what that looks like. I closed out a couple trades. I actually took a small loss on Rumble and Applied Digital Corp, APLD. Those were just shares trades, so nothing big there. But I took W on QBTS, D-Wave Quantum, in both shares and in calls, and then I had some really nice calls, day trades on A-Lab as well, and then I also had a really nice SPY put that could have been more on this pullback here. If you check in the Discord, I started shorting it. I don't know, like right in here. I would have to look exactly, but I think right here, as we were breaking down through the EMAs, I said this market has had pretty much a triple top. This was a higher high, pull back to VWAP, retest this level, so double top here, and I was like waiting to see when this market was going to potentially turn over. And you can see my commentary, it's in the Discord there. I took a lotto short here, broke down here, and actually took profits here. Could have had like well over 100% had I held it, but that's how it is sometimes. You don't in this market, and with how strong it is, I'm okay saying yeah, I take some profits on it and walk away. Still took a 21% gain on that, but like I said, could have been a lot more. The cubic calls 31%. So yeah, overall good day. And in terms of return, so you guys can see, 6% on my proceeds on the cost basis here. Had a pretty good little day. So, well, let's see if we can keep it going this week. What I said we would try to do is continue to look at RS. So let's see what RS looks like for today. I had 3 that I thought were still decent towards the end of the day, despite the pullback. We were looking at DraftKings, Nike, and eBay. So let's pull those up. And like always, we always start with the D1. Well, let's look at Nike. If you guys haven't explored AVWAPs on my chart, the purple line is an AVWAP. The green lines that correspond with it are 1 standard deviation off that. So I anchored it to this relative high here. I anchored it as well to another one to earnings. And Nike broke through the relative high AVWAP. It used AVWAP E as support from yesterday, and we took off from there this morning. Nike could have been a great day trade here on this pullback, right? When the market was strong, kind of rode the 8 all the way up, had your pullback to review up. Looks similar to the market in some instances, but looks good and still looks good in my opinion. You had a little bit of volume coming in, not as much as I would maybe like to see. So it's still on my watch list, and we'll see how it reacts to any pullbacks that we see that are coming up later this week, tomorrow and beyond. DraftKings, look at this guy. Definitely an interesting one. Consolidation coming through here. Pullback here to the 15 EMA. Breakdown through the 8 EMA. Definitely some volume coming in though, fighting it with buyers. I think DraftKings has some pretty good sentiment right now, personally. You have quite a few of key levels of cloud lines. That's what these teal lines are, cloud lines. And so you should definitely check those out if you don't know what those are. Those are from the professor. But those cloud lines I think are important, especially here on DraftKings. 44.79-ish is the top of this consolidation. Today it tried to break out through that. You can see it here, right? Look at the volume that came in as it was trying to break through those levels. Those coincided with some pivot points, and that's kind of what I'm looking for, right? Is the convergences of some of these levels. We had AVOP coming in from a level here in this consolidation when there's some volume. Had it coming in back here from high volume as well. Probably could throw one on earnings if we haven't already. I think we might have. You have one that's coming from all-time high as well that we're well above. All-time high? Maybe it's this one. It's all-time high. Yeah, this one's all-time high. That's where the standard deviation, one standard deviation is up here. So what can I do with DraftKings? Well, I'll just set an alert here. Basically at the high of the day, we know that there's also an H minus here that was coming in from this day. That's what it looks like this AV up came from. And it's kind of, the one standard deviation's in here. It's kind of riding it. What do I want to see from this? I want to see this show relative strength, maybe even break out while the market's pulling back. What would that tell you? This thing would be relative strength if you had a candle that broke out through this H minus. You need confirmation in this market. How many instances of this H minus tests have we seen that get rejected? Look at Toast. Multiple rejections of this. It finally broke out last week on Thursday. The day after what? This big bull hammer. Toast broke out, right? It had a nice breakout, but look, hardly any follow through. Now a bear hammer today. You need confirmation in these plays. Look at this attempt to break out. Look at this attempt to break out. Finally did on that day where we had the bull hammer. Was there a trade for Toast? Maybe, but would have been swung overnight. Is that easy in this market? I'm not sure. That's up to you. But on that day, like I said, you had to be willing to get long. So, DraftKings, let's go look back at it again. Looks pretty good to me. Let's just set an alert there and forget about it. It looks like it held up pretty well. Was up 1.7% today. Not bad. And like you said, some volume came in here. Had a pullback with the market. Maybe would you have liked to see it hold? Sure, that might have been indicative of more RS, but let's see. So we reviewed Nike. Let's look at eBay. eBay is another really good one. Some horizontal coming in here that could be a concern. You obviously have the H minus that's coming in as well from all-time highs. You need to keep an eye on those. Is that all-time highs? Yeah, looks like it. So we threw an AV up on over here. Let's just expand the D1 so you guys can see. Threw an AV up on over here. Threw a couple on over here, right? And what are we doing? We're holding those levels. We're making, Friday rather, testing the one standard deviation of these levels. Nice breakout today. If you look at the intraday price action, what was the market doing at the end of the day? Look what eBay was doing. Bouncing. Up and after hours. Testing high a day here. Looks pretty good. How would I trade this? Same thing that we're doing with the rest of these. We're going to see if there's relative strength as the market continues to pull back. You could even, if this just continues to go, you could just set an alert here on the other side of the H minus and say, cool, as soon as it breaks through this, I'll be interested potentially because there's not much up here. Besides that, right? You have some horizontal that's going to come in up here. So we can draw that in. That could be relevant. But, what's stopping eBay at this point from testing this H minus and breaking out? I don't know. Looks pretty darn good. I think this was one of Izzy's picks. So nice pick there, Izzy. Yeah. So those were the three that I thought were showing some relative strength, and we'll hopefully find some more. And then while we're at it, we're going to be just looking at a lot of different charts, and we'll flip a ton of them. But a lot of these different charts are going to be looking pretty similar because that's where the market is right now, right? The market is really strong, and whether or not this pullback actually happens, we'll see. We're going to be evaluating. This one real quick, EVLV, Evolve Technologies. This market, you can tell that things aren't. It's getting a little like soft up here in the top of the clouds because the stocks that are really going are kind of, some of the shittier stocks. Some of these these stocks that you wouldn't normally trade that don't have great, something's missing with them, either market cap, volume, they're pre-revenue companies. There's a lot of FOMO up here. Evolve is one of them, right? Pre-revenue here, earnings on August 14th, pretty good volume. Smaller market cap, nothing crazy. In the AI space, if I can see, this was one of Dan's picks. Looks pretty good. Industries including casinos, industrial workplaces, schools, artificial intelligence, security screening. Who knows? But definitely a strong sector. Yes, exactly. Profit. Frothy. That's the word we were looking for. A lot of shit stocks that are flying, right? And so Qubits, one that I had up here, one that I actually took profits on today, this morning, actually up here. Pretty much the perfect exit. Look at this thing. This thing it's a shit stock, right? This is a quantum computer stock. We know what these things do. We know that there's not much here in terms of actual substance. Whether or not there's actual quantum computers or not. Well, do the same technical analysis. You can still trade some of the technicals. Look, there's even an H plus there that I didn't even consider. But it looks like today it tried to test that, couldn't get through. Look at multiple attempts to test it on volume. I don't know if that's perfect or not, but I don't think Qubits is totally off the radar just because it's a Momo at this point, but you would like to see the market go. What's up, Donkey? How we doing, man? Yes, absolutely. ACHR is definitely one of them, right? So what I want to see from Qubits? Qubits in particular, this one was on the list. We got out of it today. You have some AVOps I think that could be relevant, especially one from the high volume move it made last Thursday, which was what? The day after the bull hammer, right? Look at that return. I was swinging it. I'm sorry, I wasn't swinging it, but I got in that morning, almost at open, and took a really nice return on that one. And then when we got a pullback that day, I swung it again. The bull hammer that we got on Friday, albeit a day of rest potentially, right? Because of this move was so aggressive. It said to me, there's enough here to swing this overnight, and that's what I did. I know some of the other senior traders did the same thing. So yeah, Qubits. What would I like to see from this? I would like to see it hold. It looks like it already rejected AVOP from this day. Is this going to come back down and test this H minus? Maybe. I don't know. This thing's volatile, right? And that's kind of what you get in this market with some of these shit meme stocks, right? And yes, QS earnings is coming up as well. Donkey, thanks for calling that out. This one looks a little bit better, and something you do see, and Izzy made me aware of this too. In one option, I guess there is a scanner for earnings run up, but earnings run up is a thing, right? Google is a great example of earnings run up. Not much here in terms of volume, but look at the volume that's coming in today. Continuation today, a little bit of a pullback, but look at this relative strength compared to the market. Let's look at QQQ, right? Sell off into the end of the day. Look at the relative strength from Google. Well, guess what? Google has earnings in 2 days. Can you still fit in a trade here on a pullback? I mean, look at the continuation even in after hours, right? Google to me looked good. I got an alert on Google in here. Continuation on here on Monday the 14th. I didn't actually trade it, but yeah, I mean, I missed out. Look at that. Nice move. I take that back. I did take some shares, but I just put it in the LTI. And I had actually sold puts on it a while back around 165. Around that time. So some gains on it, but not nearly as much as what was available. I mean, look at this move, man. I mean, even if you took it, I don't know, say you were late and you were waiting for the consolidation, say you took it here and you held it there, 5%. I don't know, maybe not enough of a move to really justify it, but you like the move today. I would say there's still going to be some continuation here, depending on what the market does. So we'll see. So one more look at QS, because this was also on my interesting list. I like actually the tail that it's putting in here. And I do think that there's probably some level of earnings run up. Look at the sell off. Most of the sell off was this morning, which is not great, seeing what the market was doing. Down a little bit in after hours. This is kind of what you get in these Momo stocks. It's been making a nonstop move. What do we always say? If it's disconnected from the 80 EMA, if it's really moved away from that, it has to catch up. Either the 8 EMA has to catch up or it has to pull back to test it. Well, you got a test of it today. Is there a world where in the next 2 days this continues the earnings run up just like Google to retest the high here? It's very possible. You also have some AVO ops that are coming in here. I think that's from all-time high. Sure looks like it. Probably some horizontal that's going to come in here. Is there a trade here? I don't know. It doesn't have the RS that maybe I would like to see. You might not have enough time till earnings, but hey, it's on the list. And if you go through my interesting list here, and we'll just flip through all these since they're here. A lot of these are kind of shit stocks, or they're in sectors that are memes, right? Rocket Lab. What's Rocket Lab? It's another one of these like aerospace sector, electronic tech. All these stocks have been going. And in fact, I actually made a new sector for this in my watch lists because I think that they are still relevant here. How do I add it here? Open list. It's called, oh, here it is. Now let's edit it. Space shit. Let's call it that, space shit. Because there's shit stuff. You know what? We'll just call it space. Try to be family friendly. So yeah, I made a one for all these stocks because these stocks have been going. Look what they did today. They all pulled back with the market. Except for space, of course. Look at this thing. Oh my god. This thing's D1's a lot worse though. So kind of interesting though. I think this is, yeah, Virgin Galactic. I wouldn't recommend this one. Anyways, but yeah, Rocket Lab has been good. Look at the pullback today. Pulling back, didn't even touch the 8. We can look at the intraday, just see what it looks like real quick. Pretty significant selling. This was relative weakness today based on depending on the market. But that's kind of where the market is right now, right? Rocket Lab stays on the list because it hasn't even broken down through the 8 yet. If this breaks down through the 8, then we'll say, okay, no more. But is there a world that this strength is so strong, doesn't break down through the 8, or if it does, it puts in a hammer, like we're saying, and could retest this level? It's very possible, in my opinion. What can you do here? You can throw an AVO up on here and see how that persists. You could throw an AVO up on earnings, which I think I already have it in here. Maybe not. Let's add it. Yeah, so you got some significant levels coming in here. And I know this can like really clutter your chart, but to me, I throw these levels on just to see. Let's see what happens. Let's see how these levels persist for this stock, and let's see what's relevant and what's not. And once you see those things, you can start base a thesis around those levels. Cool. So Rocket Lab's still on the list just because of that. And the name keeps coming up. There's no coincidence that some of these names are coming up right now with where the market is, with how frothy it is. But that's also why I'm flat. Food for thought. SMR, this one's in the nuclear space. Look at the pullback today. Big pullback in Gulf of the, I think that was a new all-time high. Yeah, I mean, same story here though, right? Didn't even touch the 8. Hasn't come back to touch some of this horizontal. Looks like it maybe tested it here. Maybe this was the horizontal, right? Hard to say. But we'll see. Same story here in terms of how strong it's been. So it doesn't come off the list because it's still in the nuclear sector that we know is related to semiconductors. I think it's going to be important to keep an eye on. Joby, another one. This one's been stupid strong. Look at all this volume coming in, and look at all. Even though it didn't really continue too much on Friday, you had the bull hammer on. I mean, this thing was so strong. It continues to take another leg higher. Wednesday was the bull hammer. Joby just took off after a gap up, gap and go. Continuation on Thursday. And then Friday, finally taking a little bit of a rest, but still good volume coming in. Finally a pullback here. Can't even test AVO op from the first day where volume started to come in. Could probably throw an AVO op on down here to see what that looks like. You have one standard deviation from this significant level here, Monday the 30th. Is that support here? Looks like it could be. This is so strong that there's a world where this just consolidates here while the market continues down, takes another leg higher to the H+. Would not surprise me one bit. Is there another H+ in here that we need to draw? Maybe. But we'll see. Stays on the list. Hood. Super strong on with all this crypto news. the market in general has been doing really good. Joby's down to like 1640. Oh, I didn't look at the intraday. Good shout. Good shout. Let's look at it. Oh, yeah. Dumper. Dumperino. Wonder why it doesn't come up over here. Well, 1640 still puts us above AVWAP from this candle here. I don't know. So this is the same thing, right? We're just looking to see how strong these levels are. But yeah, nice shout. So it stays on the list either way because that one's probably been the strongest of all of these. And we can look at the other ones, right? Let's look at ASTS. This thing made a new high day today, new relative high today, and then pulled back. Has it even pulled back to the H plus here that maybe is now once resistance, now support potentially? Let's see. What's the other one? ACHR. I traded this one multiple times in here. I mean, this one's breakout was, I was early here on Friday, 2 weeks ago, watched it hold the 50, stayed in it, both in shares and then in options, traded it multiple times in here, made really good money off of it. Nice volume coming in. Do you throw an AVOP on some of these? Potentially. Big pullback today. Doesn't surprise me. This one is, a little bit shittier than some of these other ones. Hard to say. I mean, how much shittier is it than some of these other shitty stocks? Well, look what it did. Look at that exact H minus that I didn't draw in. But look what happened today. Not even today. It was on Friday. Tested the H minus. I was already out at that point. I think I closed my trade on Friday. Tested the H minus Friday. Pretty much pull back all day today. Even gave you an opportunity to get out one more time in the morning. I don't know. So yeah, these shit stocks, they're hanging around, right? ACHR maybe not as much. So that one actually is off the list for now. Does this one come back down and test the top of the cloud? Does it test the 50? Very popular. Very possible. But yes, very popular stock. Oust was one that came up. This one's been on a good move. Lower volume here for some of these. Still 2 million, not bad. 1.5 billion in terms of market share. Market capitalization rather, a bunch of trend lines that are coming in here through July 16th of 24. It's been on a steady, really good move. And you had some AVOPs that probably come off this high volume candle here. Looks like it's been holding these and 1 standard deviation. A little bit of a pullback in here. We know that there's some earnings coming up for semiconductors, in particular Texas Instruments tomorrow. Makes it a little bit harder to swing perhaps if don't know exactly who Ouster is related to. I did throw something in there kind of interesting about some of the semiconductor stocks. The ones that did Ava, much more stable. Which company profit are you talking about? House? Huh, you're right. There you go. See? Didn't even realize that. Good shout. But yeah, Ava, wow, got nuked today. Back down through the H minus. That's a tough one. I sold the puts on it back here when Pete did, I think, and I actually took a gain on it here on last Thursday. Small gain, 30% or so, but I was happy with that. I didn't want to get exercise on these personally. Not where the market is. But yeah, Oust was one in here that I thought maybe was looking all right. Like we said, it's in the semiconductor space as well. And I'm just going to jump over to semiconductors real quick because I thought I saw something kind of interesting today. The strongest one in semiconductors today was ALAB by far. I day traded this multiple times in here today, and I'll just show. I think I can call out when I took an entry. I know for a fact I took an entry here, and I weathered this pullback, and then I took gains here. Sorry, I exited. Took an entry here and I exited like somewhere in here, and then I re-entered on this engulf and took gains in here for another small win. But nothing crazy, but 2 fun little day trades while the market was just plowing higher. Was it in here? I can't remember. Well, I'd have to look. But ALAB is an American semiconductor company. They're very closely integrated with Intel. They're in San Jose. Well, we know Intel has been on a little bit of a better move recently. Finally got above all the SMAs with some volume here. It's been on a much larger pullback. I'm not advocating for Intel, but this is an American company from the semiconductor space. And is there a world where there's something going on between all the semiconductor companies that are American? Perhaps. What else was good today? Qualcomm. As far as I know, Qualcomm is another American semiconductor company. People, please correct me if I'm wrong here. But what did you see today? Really nice RS, definitely on my list. Look at this thing today, intraday. Looked great until the end of the day. Even, not terrible. And look at what we're seeing in the after hours move. Retest the high day. I love Qualcomm. This is a nice 200 breakout, confirmation of the 20 on Friday. This looks great. And is this on my interesting list? It better be. If it isn't, I need to add it. Looks really good. Same story here, though. If you're going to be trading this, is probably a day trade tomorrow, and you would have to hope that the market is going to give you some strength. Maybe on this continued pullback, and we get some sort of like move where the market's below view up for most of the day, finally tests it, breaks through, and Qualcomm has been making a nice move. You get some sort of pullback. Maybe there's an entry on Qualcomm here to test some of these levels. There's a cloud level here that looks like it's going to be important. Is there enough room here to take a trade? I'm not sure. But $3-4 on this, it's possible. So we'll see. Qualcomm, like I said, another American semiconductor company as far as I'm aware. AVGO, same story. This thing's been making new all-time highs since they had earnings. I mean, looks great. It looks so good. So yeah, I think there's definitely something going on in semiconductors with American-based companies. I think NXPI had bad earnings today, though. Let's see. Was that today? I can't remember. Yeah, big miss here, looks like. Or either that or it was guidance. Doesn't look like it was an actual miss. Must have been guidance. So yeah, kind of interesting there. Bear hammer today as well. Nothing here for NXPI, but we can get into all semiconductors in general. So AUS is still on the list, like we said, because I do like the setup. I like how strong it's been. We're seeing these pullbacks. We'll have to evaluate. Another one. I was in down here. I sold it the day before this big bounce. It was a small position. It was mainly shares, but has been steadily making a move back after this much larger pullback. This is another momentum play. It's in this computer gaming industry. It's seen a little bit of a pullback. This one is definitely going to be on my radar. I want to evaluate RS in here. I want to see if it's going to hold a VWAP from what I believe is all-time high here. Sure looks like it. And if it does, then maybe there's going to be something that could be an entry here if the market decides to take another leg back up and retest all-time highs. So I really like a lot. CCJ, another one pulling back here. This is in the nuclear space, holding the 8 today. Let's see what that looks like. And we'll, evaluating relative strength. Not much yesterday or today. Maybe it's off the list. Profit likes Marvel. Let's look at Marvel. A little bit of a hammer today. Back above a cloud level here. Unclear how relative it is. Big gap here, though. Big earnings gap. Is there a world that you get into this earnings gap and you retest, some of these AVOPs in here? We got a ton of AVOPs coming in above. Looks like it could be relative. This is definitely alert worthy. I like it. Let's look at the intraday. Pretty choppy in here. I don't know. There's definitely a worthwhile of some sort of alert here, though. So let's maybe set an AVO up from here. Boom. Set an alert here. Might be a little early, but is there a world we could trade it in here? Back up to the 200? 9, 10, 8, $9. I mean, that's a big move for this company. Say you set the alert here and you try to trade it up to here on good market strength, 11% for 850. That'd be a pretty good trade. I like it. I'm not going to add it on interesting because I just set the alert, and I don't like the D1 as much, but I see it. CNC, this is in here because it's been relatively weak off of news. RIP. We know that something about a class action lawsuit because of misreported enrollments or something. I mean, this thing's just been continuously selling off day after day. It's hard to trade these because, I don't like staying in something short and swinging it consecutively. But when you get bad news like that, look at this dump out. Look at this sell off. There's a world where this is going to bounce back to the 8. As soon as it bounces back to the 8, there's a retest of the relative low. Be able to short this market pending. So it's still on here because of that. It's definitely a good looking short. Palantir has been on here just because it's been making really good moves. It's been a fun one to trade. We know that it's high volume. We know that it's a little bit Momo. This stock is super strong. What do we know about this? It's in the sector, AI, government funded. A couple H pluses that are coming in here. We finally broke out through, making new all-time highs, pulling back today after a hammer, but not really aggressive one from Friday. Does this come back down and test a view up here? I don't really care about that day. We know that this day was a big scar on the chart. I traded Palantir in here multiple times and made a really good return on it. I still like Palantir. You're at all-time highs. Market's at all-time highs. We would like to see it pull back, find some support, maybe here at the 8. Maybe I'll just set an alert there. If we break down through that and we see it get on the radar, it starts to get some relative strength again, who knows? Anything's possible. So we'll see. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to drink some water. All right. Let's just look intraday at Palantir real quick, just see what it looked like. Yeah, sold off all day pretty much after the initial move up. So that's okay. We want to see the pullback, and these relatively strong stocks off of good earnings, like they don't necessarily. I mean, technically the earnings wasn't great, or maybe it wasn't guidance. They're just now profitable though in the last couple of quarters. I mean, Palantir's Palantir, right? At the end of the day, hate Peter Thiel, hate what the company's doing, but you can't ignore the fact that they're going to get a bunch of governmental contracts, and that's just kind of the way it is with Trump. So, LVS, Las Vegas Sands, casino stock. Nice big move up here, gap up. I'm not sure what that was from. There must have been some news. Well, we can throw on an AVU op. Lost it today, maybe showing some weakness in terms of what the market's doing. Definitely intraday kind of weak, including the sell-off towards the end of the day. Holding the 21 right now. Is there a world that it holds the 20 or one standard deviation or the 20? There's a lot of convergence coming in right here. Is this where we'll maybe see it bounce and retest all-time highs? It's possible. We know that DraftKings is in the same space. We know that companies like Win are in that space too. I don't like this one as much, but what we can do is maybe just set an alert. Let's just set an alert here. See if it continues to pull back, and then we'll also look at Win. And so we'll take LVS off the list, but look at this hammer coming in on Win at the 15. So this one's maybe a little bit more advanced, but same choppy garbage in here too. This one's been doing a little bit better. I'm sure there's like an H plus in here somewhere. You have the H minus coming in. You could throw on an AVU op at the relative high. You could throw it on down here as well. And look at that, it lost it today. What would we like to see? I mean, obviously you would want to see it bounce at some point. Is the convergence down here? I don't know. You could set an alert, set it, forget it. We talked about CCJ, we talked about CNCT, we talked about ASTS. We like it here still. Even the pullback. D-Dog, interesting one today. I know this came up on the radar. Look at this pullback. D-Dog's been making a really nice move here. Big volume came in here, so we threw on an AV op. Tested it today, couldn't get through. I just have an alert set here. I really like where this is at. There's a lot of room here and maybe potential for a gap fill back up to test this level in here above the cloud. And you can see the horizontal, like there's a bunch of horizontal crap it's going to have to get through at some point. But is there room to take a trade here after it breaks through AV op to gap fill back up to retest to that level? 5%, $7. Very possible. So I like it. We'll leave it on the list. We got the alert set. Futu, another interesting one. Look at the consolidation in here. Has been making ridiculous new highs in here. Consolidated in here. Pull back to the 8. New level. Retested this relative high. Took it to the next level on Friday. This one was stupid strong on Friday for whatever reason. Bit of a wick that came in here on Friday. Super choppy today. Yeah, I mean, it's still like kind of holding up in here. Is this going to consolidate in here? Is this going to wait till the 8 catches up and continue? That wouldn't surprise me one bit with how strong it is. Oops, I was looking at Datadog still. Let's look at Futu intraday. Yeah, a little choppy, sold off towards the end of the day. Big gap up though in pre-market, so interesting. CLF, let's look at that one. Cleveland Cliffs, this one is the one that had earnings today. Was it today? Cliffs, yeah, this morning. Financial company, or I'm sorry, mineral, steel. Why did I think that was a finance company? I feel like there's another finance company that's named similarly. Um, yeah, back over the 200. Maybe, perhaps there's something there. D1's been beat up really badly. Um, I think steel's a little bit weird to trade. You look at X, consolidated in here. Definitely was off some news from Trump and all the Japan nonsense, and it finally got acquired. I think now it's kind of finding some new resistance up here. There's another steel company that has earnings coming in here. I think in the next day or so. Where is it? Steel Dynamics today after close. Let's look at it. STLD. Hmm. Chop. Garbage. Nothing really interesting here. Maybe back down below 131.91. I mean, you're right back at the 50. There's nothing here. But yeah, you could look at other sympathy companies and say, if what CLF is doing in terms of earnings and this breakout, is there a world that you could be interested in CLF? I don't know. When you see a breakout like this, the best way to get confirmation is, even if this continues, um, is waiting to see if it's going to come back down and retest this level of the 200. If it comes back down, tests this level, and hammers off of it, great entry opportunity to then retest the relative high. So we'll see. And you have all-time highs that are coming in here, and like Prophet said, this one's a little beat up as well. So D1 could look better, but there still is the potential for a trade in here to make a nice return. So we'll see. But yeah, we like Futu a lot still. ANET, another one, looked great. Multiple bull hammers in here. Look at all these bull hammers coming off this thing. Consolidation, bull hammer to the next level. Bull hammer on a day when you might see some rest. Next level, new consolidation. Is there a channel in here even potentially? Looks like it. Anything that has bull hammers like that, that's buyers coming in and they're defending those levels. It's pretty important. And you really got to take those into account. You have a bunch of AVO ops that are relevant here. You probably have one from previous all-time high. Let's see if I can click on it. Was that previous? Yep, previous all-time high here. Was it 133? Yep, 133.657. Was it? Yes. Yeah, you probably have a new H minus that's going to be getting created here. You have some key cloud levels that are coming in here that makes this a little bit more difficult. But what does this do? It always comes back and tests these levels in terms of the 8. So you could expect a pullback here, I would think. And that's why it stays on the list. I definitely think there's something here. Hard to say exactly where the channel is. We'll have to evaluate. Maybe that's it. But yeah, I like it a lot. So let's see. Coin, another one in the crypto space. We know what these guys do. Marketplace for crypto. Tons of great volume coming in. Definitely sympathy with Bitcoin. And so I keep a track of that one too in here. And look at the hammer that came in for Bitcoin today. That's definitely looking pretty good. Futures are even up a little bit here after the sell-off at the end of the day. Kind of interesting. Let's look at BTC. Bouncing here. Looks like with futures. I mean, this is a strong market, guys. We'll have to see how this all shapes up, but Bitcoin is now consolidating up here in the 120s. Pretty strong. So let's see how that works out. So we like coin still. Pulling back, but above these levels, you have to think that there's still something here, especially with the news, especially with the Momoness. eBay, we talked about that one. Toast, we talked about this one. Definitely a big candle coming in here in terms of a wick. We'll have to see what the pullback looks like in the next couple of days. Looks very similar to the market on the intraday. So maybe not as much RS, maybe a little bit of a break coming in here, but you had a ton of consolidation in here in these levels. Is there a way that we could see if we could take a bounce off of one of these levels, like maybe here, after a test here later this week to say, yeah, maybe bounce off the 8 EMA here, retest this level, and continue back up towards all-time highs? It's possible. Let's look at its brother, Dash. Dash, look at this one. A little bit of a doji today. Weakness coming in later in the day. High day was at 9:55. What was SPY doing? About the same time. Pretty much high day. So nothing too much to write home about there, but really kind of hung around VWAP. Looks kind of good. Nice bounce off the 21. Back through the 20 EMA, 20 SMA. The 18 EMA and the 8 EMA today kind of held too. Consolidation. Probably some key levels in here. Could throw a view up on here. Could throw AV up on here. I don't know. I think you need a little bit more confirmation from this guy to really say that you're interested. And so obviously you have horizontal too that's going to be coming in up here. Is there enough room to take a trade? Potentially. Let's just set an alarm here. Set an alert. Forget it. We talked about DraftKings. We talked about Nike. Both had a good day. Rumble. I took a loss on this one today. Kind of chased it from just in shares though, nothing crazy. Continued to pull back through the day on the intraday. Another one, kind of a shit stock that I thought maybe there was an opportunity here, and it kind of proved me wrong. And so I took a little loss on there. That's okay. If it pulls back in here, holds some of these levels and decides to bounce again, what are the odds that it retests this level? Probably pretty good. I'll be looking to day trade it. So it'll stay on this list, but I probably will need to really see some positive volume coming in here to hold some of these levels. And if it doesn't, it'll come off the list. RKT, another one with really good volume today. We think it has something to do with earnings, or I'm sorry, not earnings, but with rate cut potential. Heavily influenced by rate cuts. This company, they do financial planning and leasing, rentals, all sorts of stuff. Rocket mortgage, all that nonsense. Big horizontal levels coming in here, up here as well. This is one of those companies that it wouldn't surprise me if it took another leg higher that it decided to do some sort of share offering. So be aware, be careful. Big market cap here. Is there a world that it tests up all-time high AVUOP? Definitely. Could see it. It held just above this H minus today. I don't know. Looks pretty good. There's something here. Load. This was one that high volume came in today, and Dan shouted this one. Another smaller company, 120 million market cap, decent volume in the AI space, I believe. Natural resources, renewable energies, products, segments, fuels. I don't know. Maybe not. Mining. Hard to say. So maybe it's more basic mats. Don't love to trade those, but we'll keep it on here. Process industries. Where would I be interested? It tested this AVOP here, one standard deviation from the relative high, this high volume candle, this relative high. Can get back above that, then maybe there's a world that this tests back up further to AVOP one standard deviation here. Or even, if we start talking about AVOP all-time highs. I mean, look how high those are up there. Is there a world that we can test back up to the H minuses to some of these cloud levels? I mean, that's a pretty big move, right? That's like 100%. These would be some serious baggers if you could take a trade here. A-Lab, we talked about that. Volume came in today for whatever reason. I don't know if it was anything around earnings or what. There must have been some news. But yeah, looks good. Relatively newer company, semiconductor space, related to Intel. Big move today on volume. Really like that one. EVLV, we talked about that one, and we talked about QCOM. Pretty good, interesting list there. I think there's some really good stuff there. I started to look at sectors a little bit differently. I created this new view to really see if I could pinpoint some of the rotations that are happening in this market, because there is a lot of rotations that are coming in. And I have the main sectors up now here. There's eight views here. XLC, Comms, XLK, Tech, XLF, Finance, IWM, which is obviously Russell. And then you have XLP, Consumer Staples, XLV, Healthcare, XLE, Energy, and Semiconductors, SMH, because these are, to me, some of the biggest sectors. Look at the sell-off from semiconductors later today. You had the same sell-off in a lot of these other sectors. Healthcare, you started to see it as well. You started to see the breakdown in energy earlier. Big breakdown in consumer staples too. I mean, this is indicative of what happened with the market today. And we can look at RSP as well, which is the equal-weighted ETF for the market. Look at that sell-off. Big sell-off. When I was looking to short the market, when I saw the rejection of a VWAP here, or a VWAP rather, on the intraday for RSP, I was like, yeah, we definitely got to be looking short. And then once we saw follow through from QQQ as well, from the mags, to me it was like, yeah, this is a definite short. Like, this is gonna pull back at least to VWAP. We got more than that. We could have even gotten more. It's okay, but that's kind of what you have to look for when you're trying to short off the top like that. So yeah, I got a new view here. We're going to test out how this is helping out in terms of keeping an eye on all the different sectors. You can start to see tick for tick, candle for candle on the intraday. What's happening. Comms staying above VWAP. Well, maybe that's indicative of kind of what some of these mags are doing here. Look at that from Microsoft there. First candle to close, doesn't really matter. But Microsoft in there, Meta as well, nice and strong today, despite the market had been making a pullback, and now I think testing back above the 20 again today. Couldn't get through, but that's okay. I mean, there's some relative strength coming back in here. What else was comms? I think Amazon is considered comms, maybe. I don't know. But nice and strong today. Not a ton of volume coming in, but floating up with the market. Google, another one of them. This is definitely in comms, I believe, but also indicative of tech. So you can kind of see it in some of these where the strength is here, but selling off with the rest of tech. Kind of interesting to keep an eye on some of this. Could be relative. And yeah, this was another one. I think Izzy does some of this stuff with some of his charts. I don't know. We'll have to see how it works out. So yeah, obviously I keep up VIX as well. You guys know that. Keep up the mags too, because this gives me a little bit of a read on what the biggest stocks are in the market are doing, and we know that's closely related to QQQ. Keep up QQQ at all times, and then I also keep up RSP now because I think this is really more of a sentiment of what the market's doing on the daily, on the intraday rather. Even though the market was nice and strong this morning, it was mainly the mags and QQQ that was doing that. Look what the market did. Got to this pivot point, couldn't really get back above it. What was the market doing here at 925? The market was pulling back to VWAP. Look at RSP. RSP was down through VWAP. That said to me, okay, there's some definite weakness here. And I think if you go into the Discord, I think I said something along the lines of QQQ is holding the market up. The mags are holding the market up. 925 rolls around here. Look at the strength that's coming into the mags. For the day, continued up, finally broke back down through VWAP here, and I need to clean this up, sorry. So it looks the same. Green. Finally broke down through VWAP later in the day, even though it was relatively strong. RSP selling off. Said to me it's time to short. That's how I find a short off the top, right? I'm looking at all these different sectors. I'm looking at rotations. I'm looking at the market to try and identify, if there's an opportunity there. And there was. So that's cool. Let's just go through the mags real quick. We talked about Google. Looks great. Maybe an earnings run up here. Amazon 10 days, so earnings next week. Consolidation, making another leg higher today. Looks good. I order my mags up here in best to worst. Google was the best today from what I could tell. Amazon was also a close follower. Nvidia was looking good until, after this pullback, it gave you a little bit of a pullback. This D1 is strong though, so that's why it's here. Gave you a pullback to this AVWAP, which was, I believe, from this hammer down here. I don't know if that's still relevant or not. Hard to say. Let's see if I delete it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. This thing's just continuously making new highs. Looks really good. High volume here, so maybe we could just throw it on here instead. Broke down through it. Don't love to see it, but we'll see what happens here with Nvidia. I mean, it's still Nvidia, right? Sold off at the end of the day, pulled back. I mean, this thing's been on a nonstop, new all-time highs since down here. I hope you guys made some money on Nvidia, and if not, I hope it's in your LTI. AVGO, we already talked about that. Probably looks better than Nvidia at this point. Meta, we talked about that shortly there. Netflix, look at this guy. Pull back on earnings through the 50, bounce off the top of the cloud, back through the 50 today. Even though the market sold off, I mean, look at this thing. This thing's stupid strong. Could you throw an AVO up here on this relative high candle / high volume? Probably where I would be interested to say, yeah, let's see if we can get long Netflix again to retest all-time highs. Very possible. Right? You got a lot of horizontal that's going to be coming in here, though, that it's going to need to get through. I'm going to need to see the market prove to me that buyers are still interested. But you like to see the volume that's coming in here and defending these levels. Couldn't hold the 50, fine, but did hold the top of the cloud. Is this one that you could consider selling some puts on? Maybe if you could get some confirmation through this level. Let's see. So Netflix still look good, really good RS today. Microsoft been at all-time highs. Nice move in the morning, despite what looked like a tougher move on Friday. Definitely like a gap down here, which is weird considering what the market did. But it's kind of held up here above you for the rest of the day and floated higher. Is this a day of rest? Can we say that if the market shows any support and it decides that it wants to move back up, that it retests all-time high? Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me one bit. Apple, very interesting today. I know there are some significant players in RDT who like Apple for a short. I was looking at Apple today for a potential long. Nice breakout, slow kind of creep above some of these cloud levels. Big significant cloud level here at 209.66. 100 SMA also moving down. 200 coming down. Apple is still Apple. What do we see today? Nice move up in the morning. fairly big rejection. Um, Kind of like, withered the rest of the day. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. There's not much in terms of confirmation here for this stock. Is there an H minus here that maybe is relevant? Probably. Could you throw on some AVWAPs that could be important? Probably. We could just throw it on earnings. See what that looks like. I mean, you have this AVWAP that's, I believe, all-time high. Yep. I mean, that's probably where you'd be interested, right? Above this H minus, above this. I mean, I'll just set an alert here, and we can forget about it. Costco been breaking down steadily after earnings. Finally broke down through the 200 on Wednesday last week. What was Wednesday last week? On SPY, the bull hammer. What did Costco do? Relative weakness. New leg lower here. It's consolidating at this level. Is it going to test some of these cloud lines? Is there a new H plus or L plus that's going to be relevant? Very possible. I like Costco as a company. I even thought about selling some puts in here, but this is a breakdown. Either way you look at it, breakdown of the 200 is always significant. So with that in mind, maybe it's too early. I want to find support forming in here somewhere, and then from there, if we get a bounce and a pullback, that's where I would look to sell some puts on it. And Costco is a very expensive stock. There's a world where we do some sort of split here in the near future, and when that happens, you better believe I'll be around waiting for that opportunity because it's a good company. Tesla, relatively weak today, stayed below VWAP, even on the move up here in SPY. I was looking actually at shorts for Tesla today, but I couldn't find an opportunity where I was comfortable with the pullback. I was looking here and saying, okay, maybe, but the market really wasn't doing much for me. Then you got this this green volume candle back over VWAP, and I was like, I'm not really interested. Especially at the end of the day, not a ton here. This was a breakout, right? Breakout of the 50 on Friday. Testing the top of the cloud here, tested it here as well, and the 1 standard deviation from from earnings, I believe, down here, or a relative low volume candle. This was April 9th. We know April 9th is a big candle for every stock, so you better have an AVO up on there to check it out. Yeah, where would be interested to get long? Probably above the 1 standard deviation there. There might be some sort of H minus here. We could throw on AVO up all-time high here too. Let's do that. Let's align the H minus. See if it's relative. I don't know. Hard to say. Probably not there. It's probably here. So there you go. Boom. As soon as it gets above that level, it's probably be interested. You have horizontal coming in here too. So you could just draw a horizontal line here. Just set the alert on the horizontal line, see what happens. But yeah, I mean, we know Tesla. We know it's pretty heavily traded by retail. A lot of like choppy consolidation in here that it's going to have to get through. But, nothing surprises me with Tesla. So we'll see. CRWV, CrowdWeave. I don't know why I don't have this one on this list. It should be on. Oh, it is on here. Nice. CoreWeave, CrowdWeave, CoreWeave. We'll have to look at hack stocks today too, because that was kind of interesting for sure. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Profit says CoreWeave is good around 122. Long, short, what are we thinking here? I don't like that it broke down through the 50. Are we looking at the same stock here? Oh, nice short, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I like the bear hammer that's coming in here. Tested those levels today, kind of interesting. You have a cloud level here. Yeah, there's definitely something here. Could we throw an AVU op on as well? It's possible. Let's see. Yeah, look at the convergence there. Is there a world that you can trade this down to the bottom of the cloud? Once it breaks down through the top of the cloud, could you take, I mean, that's 11%. There's definitely something here. I like it. Nice shout. A little bit of a newer company, kind of makes things a little bit sketch. And I think it's in a hot sector, right? Technology services, delivery of intelligence, AI. Yeah, so you just got to be a little careful with some of these things, right? But I do like the breakdown. Nice shout. Yeah, there's something there. Cool. This was Tesla. So we'll leave Tesla up. I actually like that for tomorrow. I like that a lot. Really good shout there, Profit. What would we like to see tomorrow? Retest of the 50, inability to get above it as the market just continues to sell, like it, depending on what the market does. Yeah. I wonder what options volume looks like in there. Holy shit, I'm hungry. Options volume is very good. Expensive for 11 days out. Do we have earnings soon? 44 days. Very expensive. So IV's pumped, it looks like. Yeah. I mean, you'd probably be going, I mean, if it was a day trade, you could probably get in here somewhere and mess around. 125 short. 130 puts you closer to the 50. What does 130 look like? Higher volume there too. Little expensive for my taste, but I like it. I like what I'm looking at. Nice shout. Maybe you just short this on Triers. We'll see. Dan says getting pretty slim pickings out there. Not many setups lining up. All the shit flyers sold off hard today. Yep. Dan says we need a bigger dip to reset, something like a 50 SMA test. That would be fairly significant. To get a 50 SMA test on SPY, you would, I mean, pretty big move down here. You're talking about like in the just over 600. You have to break down through 620, through some of this consolidation, through the 20-day here. I mean, you would need some pretty big news. I think you would probably be waiting until next week. Depending on what the FOMC says, depending on what earnings, comes out with some of the mega cap techs and some of these bigger companies here, Alphabet, Tesla, etc. And then you'd probably want to see some bad news coming in here as well to get that pullback. So we'll see what that looks like. Yeah. UVXI would love a 50 test. CoreWeave to acquire Core Scientific. Oh, okay. So then, yeah, definitely potentially something there. Guys, if you don't know much about, you skipped short because of the option price. Yeah, they are a little pricey. You got to be willing to dabble. But yeah, if you don't know how acquisitions and mergers impact companies, you should really look into it. It's kind of interesting. And we can look at a fun one from today. Our boy S, Sentinel 1. Look at that price action today on news of potential acquisition. I don't know if they thought it was Pan W or if they thought it was someone else. But look at that move. Absolutely ridiculous. 8%. And then immediately almost retraced. Pretty wild. And we saw something happening similar with Pan W. Look at that candle. Absolutely ridiculous. 3%, 3.5%, one candle. We saw it with, I mean, it was in pretty much all of the hack stocks. Let's look at all the hack stocks real quick while we're at it. ZS, Crowd, Cyber, Qualsys, Cisco didn't get it. Kind of interesting. Talk about a shit stock, hardly moves, but consolidating in here. Maybe there's another leg higher here. Hard to say. Thanks for the follow, dude. Yeah, if you guys are new here, if you've not seen me stream before, jump into the Discord. Money man, money man. Yeah, jump into the RDT Discord, read the wiki, participate. Great place to learn. Great place to figure out how to do this. Cisco, FTNT. Let's look at this one. This one also sold off during the day. Look at that big candle. 10B, not as bad. Pan W we already looked at. Checkpoint as well. A little bit of one here. I think this one was a little bit stronger. Look at this guy. Checkpoint breaking up. Nice market cap, lower volume. But look at this. Is there a world that this tests up here? Back through the cloud, back to test this consolidation at 4% here. It's possible. Very possible. Pretty choppy in here, though. A lot of horizontal. I think you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find a trade in here. A view up here, maybe. Is there one here? Right at the 1 standard deviation. Maybe if you got above the cloud. You can set an alert there. I don't really love to trade checkpoint. I know the options volume's garbage, too. But either way, S had a great day today. Despite that crazy move intraday. So keep an eye on it. We will keep an eye on this space. Is there the possibility of a trade here despite this massive massive wick that it does something like a little bit of a pullback here to the 100 and then bounce again to test the 200? Possibly. Does it just continue to test the 200? Possibly. To me, this has got to be, it's a nice breakout through the 50 and the 100. I think this has to go on the interesting list, so we'll add it. Cool. Anything else that we really want to look at? Sedge, oh my God, talk about another kind of shit stock, but solar stocks have been going. Sedge has been going, testing this H+, couldn't break through today. At some point it will. The alert went off today because of how strong it's been. We'll just reset an alert up here. Set it and forget it. It's been on a larger pullback. Some pretty significant candles in here that could be horizontal. Nice bull flag though. So interesting there. Run, finding support above the 200, rejecting this H-. We just set an alert up here. NXT, potential bull flag here forming. What does that look like? Set an alert here. Was resistance, now support potentially. I don't love this candle or this. Just do that. Is there an H- here? Probably. Pretty aggressive one. Tested it today. Maybe it's down here. A lot of horizontal it's going to have to get through, though, to carry on. FSLR. Look at this. Bull flagging, kind of. But a lot of these H- that it's trying to get through. Pretty tough. I don't know where I would be interested in there. Imagine a data center on the moon powered by solar energy. Dude, that would be insane. And then they wouldn't have to pay for all like the cooling that they need here on Earth, because those data centers are just giant furnaces. That would be so cool. I also saw something about this in China. China's dark factories. Have you seen this? This shit is insane.
Factory in China uses hundreds of robots to churn out dozens of electric vehicles an hour, 24/7. This is a dark factory, an area of the plant so automated and with so little human presence that, in theory, the lights could be completely shut off.
This stuff is
Factories
nuts,
like this
dude.
one are part of China's bid to use hyper-automation to dominate the electric vehicle or EV market. But the furious trade war between
Always got to have Trump in there. Anyways, read into those. Those are very interesting. They're doing it with cell phone makers, all sorts of stuff. I was reading one with like Xiaomi or something. one of those Chinese companies. They have a completely dark factory that uses lidar and infrared and all this stuff to run the business. They turn off all the lights. There's no workers in there. It makes a cell phone every 3 seconds. Makes 27,000 cell phones a day. Dude, this is like how like Terminator made it starts, right? They have these super factories that are dark factories. They're literally evil. They should change the name from dark factories to evil factories. It's funny, whenever I think of FSLR and ENPH in these companies, I always think of driving to Vegas because they have those big solar arrays right outside of Vegas, like right near the border. But yeah, FSLR, something's here. Something's happening. I mean, if you're willing to trade some of these Momo solar stocks, there's something here potentially. Um, I don't know exactly where. There's not a ton of room. I have the alert set up here. Maybe it's there. We'll see. Hard to say. NEE making a little bit of a better move. Uh, kind of a breakout of this H minus. A lot of horizontal in here. Bunch of volume coming in here. Throw an AVU op on. Was there one on an all-time high? I don't know if I have. Did I? If not, we can add one. Cool. Is that all-time high? These companies always like fool me so many times because there's always like an all-time high that's way back. Let's throw on this too. See if there's an H minus that could be relevant. Not for a long time. Oh, looks at that. Look at that. Boom. H minus party. So yeah, a lot of room up here. Do we throw an AVO up on, like, is there volume here anywhere? Maybe here? I don't know. Hard to say, but it's making new levels. Don't love it, but you know, something else in that solar space. I think they do nuclear too, so definitely one to keep on the radar. ENPH, the other one, this one's getting beat to shit, so definitely not. ARRY array breaking down as well. Nothing here. So, but yeah, the one in particular was Sedge that I saw today, and I had been trading it in here in the gap in shares. I mean, look at this thing. You could have held it for a long time. Some good AV ops to throw in here too. That's kind of, you know, how you can use these indicators to you know, find a way to take some profit in these places. What else in here was interesting? And maybe we'll look at a couple shorts because I think that could be a good place. X is no longer here. I don't know why. TSSI. This one's come on. No weekly options. A little bit of a wick forming here. Nice volume coming in today though. I don't know, not bad. We talked about Sedge. Verizon had earnings this morning. Obviously did well. Couldn't get through the 50, but broke through the 200. Kind of interesting. ARM, another one making a nice bull flag here. Not at all-time highs. You probably have an H minus that's relevant. Oklo. All right, I'll take a look at that one here in a second. You could just set an alert here when you'd be interested. Let's look at Oklo. I guess we didn't really look at the other nuclear ones. Oof, bit of an engulf today. Prophet, you just like to short this one off the top, don't you? Savage. We'll have to talk through that one of these days. That's like Wiki 2.0. Maybe Wiki. That's like Profit 2.0. I love a good short off the top. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I don't condone it for a lot of these other people that are still learning, but I do love it. They always feel good. TLS kind of interested in here. We know this one's in the semiconductor space for whatever reason. I think kind of moves with them. This one's been just such a sweet move here. I mean, ever since it broke out over the 100. So something else. I was talking with Asahi about some really cool videos that I was watching over the weekend. This guy, Trader Lion. This guy in particular, Deepak Upal. He was talking through his longer term strategy and how he takes longer term swings and how he approached this particular market ever since we started to break back out above some of the SMAs. And he's talking about how he put on swing positions on QQQ ETFs in particular and leveraged them as well at size and was comfortable holding them over time. And then as the move starts to peter out, he starts to really going into RS stocks. So I really recommend this. Asahi had shared a couple of these Traderline conference videos. Some is good, some is bad. I'm going to have to go back and watch the one with Lance B because I've been taking a lot of stuff from him. I think he's got some good stuff in there too to check out. But yeah, there's definitely something to be said about stocks like this that, good earnings or whatever earnings, nice breakout, and just continues to plow higher. I always have a tough time trading these grinders, as I call them, and you'll hear me call that out because I think they're hard to day trade. But these are the kind of stocks that you would love to swing trade. Strong stocks in a good sector that have good earnings, that are cash flow positive. These are the kind of stocks that you want to look to trade long term. So and swing longer term. We talked about a lot of these already. Let's look at spot. Look at this pullback, testing the 50 on Friday, bouncing a little bit today. Maybe there's something here for spot. Talk about a good company. You could even set the alert here if you wanted to wait to get through some of this chop and garbage. Back above the cloud to retest all-time highs. Very possible. Let's go to the other side. Let's look at shorts. Dave. What happened to you, Dave? Okay, Dave. Finance company. Earnings in 2 weeks. Breaking down through the 50 again. Weakness here. Definite weakness. Could you just set an alert here to then maybe test the bottom of the cloud and maybe test the 100 as it moves up? Very possible. D1 doesn't look that bad, but it is breaking down, so we'll see. And some volume kind of picking up here a little bit too. Could you throw an AVU up on here, maybe? Could you throw one on here? Relative low, throw one on all-time high. Possible. Yeah, there's something here for sure. I like it too. Let's add it. SMR, we talked about this one. This is just a pullback from all-time highs, so we would be looking more on the long side, but this is a Momo, so not really. NNE, nothing. Lunar, look at this breakdown. Despite the sector strength, kind of trying to bull flag, couldn't really get back above the 100. 100 came down, 200 kind of started moving up. You had a bearish cross, death cross here, and look what you see today. Big engulf down to the downside. Is there a world that this breaks down further? Maybe. It's very possible. We could just set an alert on the 50 and just keep an eye on it. These ones are kind of like these weird movers though, right? And the sector is so strong that it's hard for me to say, yeah, we should be looking to get long these. Talon, look at this guy. Look at that engulf. I think this is one's in the semiconductor space as well, so kind of interesting there. Hims breaking down, rejected the 50 after what looks like, I don't know what this was. Something happened here. Definitely relevant. AVU up coming in here. So would you get interested? Yeah, Empire. I thought that was pretty good. The guy, the strong trader guy, I don't know. He doesn't really come off to me as like, a guy who's really executing on a cool strategy or edge. And I would say, it took him a long time to get cash flow positive. Like, that makes me a little nervous for him, but he is going about it the right way. He just seems kind of like a meathead who just likes to trade, which is fair. But is that enough to make you a good trader? I don't know. To each their own. But he does have the process pieces down, and there's some nuggets in there for sure. If you're struggling and trading at all, like, you should be looking at those different things for process based to really kind of improve your trading. So, and I do like the way that Lance approaches a lot of those conversations. So, Hood pullback Tem. Look at this guy. A Pelosi pick. We know this is AI related in healthcare space. Maybe if you get a breakdown here. I no longer am in my 10 position. I exited it up here for gain, which was nice after bag holding it for a little while. But, if you break down the 100 here, is there another short? Maybe. A lot of choppy garbage to get through here. I don't know. Probably not. Duo L. Look at this guy. This is maybe a short for sure. What's going on here? Let's look at the intraday. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Breakdown as the market opened. It was strong. It tried to get back above the breakdown from last week on Friday. I like Duo L for short. Let's add this to the list. Thoughts, people? Thoughts? Really looks good here. Um, throw an AV up on earnings just for the heck of it. You could throw it on relative low down here just for the heck of it. See what that looks like. Is there an H or an L plus? Not really. I see a lot of room. You're in the gap here too. You're gonna test this cloud level. There's something here, boys and girls. Something here for sure. Let's add this one to the list. 100%. Really like it. Nice find there. Circle. So this one's so new still, and is crypto related. I don't look at this and think, anything except for that it's really just trying to figure out, what's going on here. You have horizontal here. Is there a way you could trade this in here? Maybe. Another pullback to AVWAP IPO right here and a bounce to retest that level. Maybe. I'll just leave that on. Lulu, another good short. I know some people were shorting this today. Nice rejection of the 20 and AVWAP here from these levels, and back down we go. Throw an AVWAP on here. I have the alert set here, so if it breaks down these H minuses or L pluses, maybe this is just like another leg lower. So we'll see. KMI. Ooh, look at this guy. The blood is starting to flow in the streets, ladies and gentlemen. Things are going to get a little spicy. Would be insane to have Lance do a live with Pete and Harry, but who knows? Otherwise, a lot of good shorts along here. Dude, that would be so cool if we get him to do a discussion with them. I don't know how they feel about him. Haven't really heard them talk about them, or either way. But if Lance is willing to do a conversation with that strong trader guy, then I don't know why he wouldn't be interested in talking with those guys. They're way, way, way well above that level. Let's see here. Monday breaking down through the 50. Some rejection. Is there a trade here? I don't know. It looks kind of interesting for sure. I just have the alert set at the 200 here, so we'll just leave it at that. VST, this thing was so strong on Friday after, these pullbacks. That was so weird. VRT was even weirder. This one was crazy to me. Look at this. This huge hammer on Thursday at the 10th. Either way, you got to put an AV up on that guy. Broke back down, probably testing it here. I think you got to like VRT still for a long potentially. If it can stay strong here, you know that you have serious horizontal here that is like your support. If this keeps coming back down and tests this level and holds it, is there a way you could sell some puts out of the deep out of the money puts in 109? Let's just look at the, screw it. Let's just look here right now what you could get if we only went out how many earnings in 9 days? That's the problem. 15 would put you below the 50. Yeah, nothing worthwhile for this week, but still nice and strong. Just unfortunately, earnings is going to be an issue. GRRR, isn't that the Gorilla guys? Gorilla Technology Group. These fucking guys. Let's add it here because I don't know if I have it in here. Definitely a nice breakdown coming here. Is there a way you can trade this to the 200? It's possible. I like it. I like the shout. I like the breakdown. It is a little bit choppy and shit in here. I think this is another AI one, right? Yeah. So maybe the wrong sector for it, but the intraday, you can't deny that it doesn't look good. So, not bad. What else do we have from a short perspective? We'll just go through a couple more. And look at that breakdown. Earnings in 10 days, breaking down, super choppy, hard to trade that. U, not short. CRS, not short. Procept. I think there's a lot of choppiness here, and this is still so new. I'm bag holding this one a little bit from up in here. I thought this was going to take off and break out. Lacked confirmation, and here we are. I thought it once again on Friday last week was going to break out. Lack confirmation. This is why it's so important to get confirmation. I'll try and sell some covered calls on this one if I can. Earnings in 10 days. We'll see. This one's pre-revenue as well. So they're expected to make some progress here. If they have any sort of beat or any good news here, I would expect it to bounce. So we'll see. ASML, bad earnings, breaking down significantly. Wow, this guy's weak. Super weak. Definitely interesting. Let's look at it here. I mean, look at that orderly selling off. I mean, let's just add it over here. It's got to be interesting for a short, maybe. Now that it's breaking down so significantly, though, you would expect it to bounce at some point because it's still a good company. Would it do something like this, bounce back to the 200 and the 100, and then take another leg lower? That wouldn't surprise me. Even now, you're in this gap here. I like ASML. There's something here. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Anything else? Just do a couple more. CVLT, no. CF, interesting. Breaking down, still in consolidation. You could just set an alert here. Could you ride it to the 200? $5? Maybe. Dell, breaking out. People looking at this for a long today. I mean, look at the volume that was coming in. Earnings in 30 days. Let's throw on some AV ops. Looking pretty good. Is there a trade up to this 1 standard deviation? Is there an H plus? Probably. Maybe. Hard to say. Maybe there. Unclear. Yeah, doesn't look bad. Alert here, maybe? I think this is worth putting on the list, though. Pretty weak intraday. Dave W. added to his Dell position today. Nice shout. Well, then I suppose it's worth adding to the list, right? This list is pretty big considering what the market's doing. It's pretty big. So even though it's it's kind of sizing up here, like I do think that there's both longs and shorts in this market that you could be considering. So like I said earlier in the stream, I'm going to be trying to look for things from an RS perspective as the market plumbs for support. But at the same time, if I can find things that are breaking down and are relatively weak, then I'll definitely consider those too. And we like the one that was, we like Duo L, we like Dave, like a couple of these other ones. So we'll keep an eye on those. Anything else? I think we could probably call it here almost. Target, really bear hammer today. What about Walmart? Let's look at that one. Nothing here. Rejecting the 50. Anything else? No, I think that's a good place to leave it. Cool. Went for about an hour and a half-ish, maybe a little bit more. UNH, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really want to fuck with UNH. Like, I just feel like it's... I see it. Is there some horizontal you could trade to? Maybe. Feels like it's pretty beat. Maybe. Potentially. I see it, though. I see it. I see the weakness. You have to see this next leg down, and then there's potential for more, too. So, we will see. But, yeah, guys, let's call it there. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys are new, obviously shoot a follow. If not, I know most of you guys in here aren't, so good to have you around. Hopefully this was helpful. I think we found some good ones, and I will be keeping an eye on them tomorrow. But yeah, have a good night, guys. Get some rest, and we'll see you for a session tomorrow. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow too, so we'll see. Izzy also said that he would jump in and we could chop it up sometime this week, and I don't know if any of you guys want to as well. Then let's do it if you got some time. But otherwise, have a good night, and we'll catch you later. Cheers.